Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm doing an art journal page in my 6x6 Dina Wakley album. I am not an art journal expert. I am not a mixed media expert, and this is not a tutorial. I just share what I'm doing. I used some Prima gorgeous blue paint to glue this on. I should have been more generous. I was too cheap with the paint, I think, because I was worried about it like gooping through the butterflies, but I should have just slapped it down there. I think the page was gessoed, but still, this paper is pretty absorbent and I should have just piled it on. It turned out fine. It just would have been a little bit easier to get it to stick and it wouldn't have taken so long. So you can use acrylic paint to glue paper down. You can use it to glue vellum or deli paper. You can stamp on it first. It's fun. It makes amazing patterns. So you don't have to necessarily always use true glue. I don't have a plan when I start a page. I let it dry and then I decided I wanted my butterflies to be different. What happened was I punched out a whole bunch of butterflies for a completely separate project, and I had these and thought these would be cool for an art journal page, and that's my logic. So I piled them on the counter and let them sit for a while. Here I'm just taking this Stickles paste that has stars in it, which I love, and glitter, and covering some of the butterflies. Again, I don't have a plan when I start a page. I very often do a step and then walk away. So don't think by looking at my pages that I'm one of those people that just has it all figured out. Same thing here. This paint dries a little more sheer. So I thought it would just make some of the butterflies different. Not all the same. Some I put patterns on. And these are a collection of Prima paints. And I played with them for the first time probably like 2 years ago, and then they've just been sitting around. Then I decided, I don't know what my plan was. I think I was just trying to glue it down. Then, this is crazy for me, I wanted a pastel-y wash in the back, and I also wanted a different look because the blue paint is one of the metalliques. It's not sheer at all. It's very metal and iridescent. So I came in with super cheap pink paint that was flat. The other paints that I held up would have been pearl. They were Martha Stewart, so they would have had like a sheen to them. And I just wanted something different, a contrast. And I know, pink for me, it's crazy, but it's spring, so butterflies and pink flowers. Just having a great time. Then I let that dry a bit and kind of thought, okay, what am I going to do next? Where is this going? And I forgot to turn on the camera a little, so I'm trying to catch you up. I tried to get my gloss sprays to spray. The white wouldn't spray. I mean, I soaked it, I played with it, then I just wrote nope on the bottle, so I don't try again next time. And the yellow did spray, but it didn't work out the way I envisioned it. I used like a negative stencil, and it didn't block as much as I thought. So then I came back with some white gesso and cosmetics sponge and just added that. When I was doing this page, I was thinking about the fact that I don't usually put enough layers. I love layers. I like to see them on people's pages, but I just don't do them enough. So I thought, okay, I'm going to force myself to use a lot of different layers of things on this page and see how it turns out. And I probably should have kept more of my friend Andrea's stencils because I like the ones she buys. Then I let the gesso dry, and this cardboard thing is, Mr. Crafting and Relaxing was in a golf tournament, and he got, I don't know, probably a stupid hat or something, or like a visor, and he put the cardboard thing on the counter because he knows me, and I looked at it and thought that would make a fun stencil, and so that's what this is. It's a piece of something that normal people would put in the recycle, and I saw it and thought, that looks fun. I want to play with that. So it was in the pile of, I want to play with that with my butterflies. And that's how this page came together. It was a category of things I want to play with. I wanted to play with these book pages that I had punched butterflies out of and this hat stencil. Here I'm just showing you that I'm not wasting any paint. It's going into a small dictionary, a big dictionary, random pages. Sometimes I have a mop-up page, here we go, in a journal. Don't let that paint get away. It can break up the white space on the page for your next project and be a starting point of inspiration. And it's probably colors you like because you used it in the first place. Then, I don't know, I got it in my head I was going to use these bird stamps. You have stamps in your collection probably, or stencils that you just forget to use. And I'm not sure I have used these 3 stamps before. So one bird, then another bird. Then I was just looking for another pop of black. And stamping on pages in an art journal that you've been working on can be tricky. Sometimes it might be better to not even put them on a block, especially if they're a red rubber stamp. Then I filled the bird in and changed my mind because I didn't like that I colored on the butterfly. So I just grabbed a baby wipe and washed it right off. For a little more black and also a sentiment, I brought in the happiness stamp out of that same stamp set. It's a Fisker stamp set, I believe. If you have questions, you can always leave me a comment down below and I'll look it up for you. Then the Crackle Glaze. This is like one of those things that I just had to have one time and bought it, and I love it, but I don't use it that often because there's a lot of dry time. This is just like a crackle paste. So it makes the crackle, but the glaze stays clear. So then I like to experiment with it, and I'll show you that afterwards. The trick to this is put a lot on, don't fiddle with it, and don't overwork it, which I probably did a little bit in some spots. Then I weighted those pages down just so that they were a little flatter for it to dry, because otherwise it might have just run into one part of the page because it is a liquid product. And you can see it is goopy on there. This is the first time I've ever used it on top of like a loosely collaged piece of paper like that too. So that was a bit of an experiment. The worst thing that can happen is it dries clear and doesn't crackle. Then I have put black paint on top of this before and it didn't work as well. What I'm trying to do is experiment with something that's very thin, and these are inks. So calligraphy colors, they're iridescent. I wouldn't recommend the iridescent ones because the iridescence settles out, but I got them on clearance. And then I rubbed it into the crackle. Could use something else. If you use a baby wipe or something like that to clean off the top, you're taking too much off. So over here on this page, I'm going to try something else, and I think it's a much better strategy as far as working things into the crackle. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a paintbrush and look at it. It washes it into the cracks, thins out the color. So if you had different colors of ink, or you could use your spray inks like your Diane Reevely inks, or if you have Tim Holtz ones, or any inks in the bottle, you just want to be careful. One time I poured way too much and it got under the crackle and then soaked the whole page underneath, so you really couldn't see anything. So you need to have your crackle pretty thick. But look at that. Oh my gosh. That is amazing, wonderful, fun texture. And I mean, turns out I put my book page on upside down. Okay, let's say I was trying variety. I love how it turned out, and having all those different layers so that your brain has to kind of look at it and think about it. If you hadn't watched me make this page and I just posted it on Instagram, you'd probably have some wonderings about how it all came together or what made what. And I think that makes a fun page. And if the pink gets away from you and gets on the other page a little bit, that's okay too. And while you're admiring the crackle a little more, I am going to grab some glue and touch up parts of the book page, just because I was cheap with the paint. I should have just slapped on really thick. I have a tendency to be too frugal with paint. I don't know why. I'm like that when I paint a wall too. Just need more of it. I looked at the page and I remembered that I had these butterflies. So I had punched a bunch of butterflies one night. I was making cards or something. And then there was ink in a bowl, and well, you know how that went. Everything in my room ends up blue. So I have these butterflies that got dyed blue. I didn't do a great job soaking them. Like I had to do something real quick, so I just popped them in there. So you can see the centers are white because I didn't mix them around and get the ink all over, which I think adds a little more variety. I didn't like that page at the bottom, how it wasn't torn, so I tore that. Just looking at it and saying, okay, what else does it need? And then I grabbed my black pen food ball. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's Fudebal. It will write on acrylic paint, and I wasn't sure how it would dry on Crackle Glaze, but it was great. So I just checked it with a Kleenex and it was fine. I didn't want like a super fat marker. I just wanted those a little bit more defined. I think it turned out pretty much how I wanted it. I didn't want to go crazy. Then I decided to put some sort of border on the page because I like to try things and take it to the next step, because I have a tendency, I probably would have stopped about 5 different steps ago. Maybe not 5 layers ago, but I definitely would have quit by now in the old days. So outlining your images and edges around a page. Then I decided I need a few more butterflies. That pinkish blue spot right there, it needed a little something, didn't it? And I just used art glitter glue and glued them right on. I think you could use any glue. And this is how I left it. Crackly, shiny. Some areas are a little bit matte. That's the advantage if you don't put the Crackle Glaze all over. Then you end up with some areas that are matte and some that are shiny. Get out your mixed media stuff and just play. Have some fun. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.